Yes, I think outlook is extremely positive for the industry as a whole, and I would like to see this in on three dimensions actually. So one on the demand side, which remains extremely robust. We are blessed with an opportunity where there is a huge untapped demand for the credit, not just from so-called unaddressed segment, but also I would say segment which is served by traditional financial services, but they are flocking to fintech lending because it is more convenient and the experience is superior. So overall, demand is extremely robust, which is the first principle of any business. Second important pillar of this outlook is really the regulatory and the policy environment, which remains extremely progressive and proactive. Um, it allows industry to flourish in a very mature and robust way with, I would say, common maximum standards when it comes to customer protection, risk management, cybersecurity, and so on. Which again is a very good signal for the industry because we are not looking at some of the weak links which are there and avoiding or mitigating the blind spots. So that way I feel that this is again a very good development that we have seen in last 18 months and so. And no less important is the fact that the self-regulatory framework that industry talks about is taking its roots, which essentially means that industry itself is looking at self-regulating, self-policing, self-monitoring in the interest of market practices and customer protection. Again, this is very important because it's very early stages still for the digital lending. Consumer trust is, increasing day by day, but it's also very new, right? So in that sense, ensuring that we are the custodian of customer trust and we offer them services which actually improve their life is very important. So in that sense, I think overall regulatory and self-regulatory piece is, shaping very well. And third, in the final point is really the supply side, which remains extremely competitive with new players coming in and many traditional players venturing into digital lending space, which essentially means that we have a very healthy competition for products, consumers, and services. And one big problem statement which this industry has been dealing with respect to, being infected with a lot of unauthorized illegal lending apps. There, while we may not have solved for the 100%, but huge improvements have been made with respect to ensuring that Play stores only have legit lending apps, which essentially means that a lot of reputational risk, which was created through illegal lending apps, and a lot of market which was getting dented by such scrupulous player, is actually getting more, cleaner, and there's more hygiene there. So for the customer trust, this is again a very important factor. And all this would points to a signal, whatever the number you are saying is actually is very much possible. And you will see very sustained growth path in medium, short, and long term for the industry as a whole.
And given that Indian fintechs have been the second most funded startup sector in India in the year 2022, what has the past year been like, and is it looking promising for the year ahead?
I think it has to be funded with the capital, so capital would be required. Obviously, overall, globally, economy remains fragile. I think there's no doubt about it. But for the companies where, the fundamentals are strong with respect to portfolio quality, governance, and scale, I think they would not face that kind of an issue overall. But yeah, it's something which is not as easily available. I would say it's not a market where anybody or everybody will got the funding, but it's a market where companies which are strong will be able to tap the capital.
What about the regulatory landscape? What exactly is that looking like? Has it been conducive for fintechs?
I would think extremely conducive. The very fact that there is a very strong focus from the government and regulator on the ensuring that fintech thrives in a safe way itself is a very positive signal. And I again stress that while in the short term this might look like something which makes, things a little more complicated than what you would otherwise do. But in medium to long term, this is extremely positive, right? Because ultimately what we are saying is that regardless of, what you are in terms of scale and different kind of product or services you're offering, you're actually able to do this in a way which is healthy growth, right? So from that perspective, we feel that regulatory environment is actually shaping the game of the rules in a very mature way. And growth is just one dimension, right? Overall, we want this sector to grow in a way which is, long path there with a sustainable growth path. In that sense, regulatory environment is shaping industry extremely well. So I would consider this as a very exclusive environment for this industry to flourish.
Right now, as per the findings of the report, on an aggregated basis, the member companies' disbursement growth has been 43% higher on a year-on-year basis. Can you walk us through some of the other trends and what does the outlook look like?
It will continue. So this was a Q2, and I think we all know that Q3 is generally where the the growth or the expansion peaks, which is a festive time. So those numbers have not come in. So we see that growth charter to continue, and we would be looking at between our members, at least 30% more than what we clocked last year. So the growth remains extremely robust overall.
Any trajectory when it comes to the AUM growth trends and the ticket sizes? Is that growing substantially?
So, there is a lot of diversification which is happening. So, things where, industry was really looking at extremely small ticket size loan. We are seeing diversification in terms of higher ticket size and also secure lending. So you will see move for the industry where players will be diversifying into different product and customer segments. So that is something which we see. Overall, we will see, higher ticket sizes also, just to ensure that, customers are maturing and their needs are increasing. So we are able to serve that. And AUM growth and other thing, you will see more and more, fintechs with their own NBFCs doing on-book lending. That is also something which will sort of consolidate. And yeah, I guess this is how I would look at the overall growth numbers. And again, we are already seeing that, it's not just tier 1 or tier 2 cities which are growing. We are seeing the growth happening in tier 3 and tier 4 cities. So that trend will again, further perhaps consolidate, and we'll see growth coming from many different places of India which were otherwise, not into digital lending. So that is also something which is palpable. We're also seeing, upward trend for, growth coming from not just from so-called urban male customer, but also, the females participation is gradually increasing. It's not satisfying yet, but still increasing. So you will see, growth being much more rounded overall across different dimensions, I would think.
So what are some of the challenges then that the fintech sector faces?
Challenges would be extremely in terms of, managing the, growth in a responsible way. As I said, the customer expectation from the fintech lending is extremely different, right? We also published this data on customer complaint. This was the first time we published this kind of data, where we are seeing that, 1 in 4 customer is complaining about the credit bureau update. So while we are able to give loans in a very instant way, customer is also expecting that their data is updated with the credit bureau, for example, at a much faster speed. So these kind of, broader ecosystem also has to evolve with the speed of the lending business, which is happening through fintech. Similarly, we got second most important reason for complaint about app-related issue and disclosure. So what are these? These are the complaints where customers feel that there is perhaps information overload. There's a lot of information to absorb, but is this information available in a form which is digestible for the consumer? Perhaps not. So these are the things where we would see, fintechs really focusing in terms of user interface, in terms of customer awareness to ensure there is whatever is available in terms of information is also digestible by the consumer so they can make a right decision while they take these loans. So I think going forward, customer awareness on fintech lending to bringing more customer into the fold of digital lending would be important aspect of overall growth journey that we will see.
Let's move